Guys, I am so excited to be sharing this conversation with Ellen. I'm really proud of it, and I think she shares in such a beautiful way, and it's going to be really moving. Before we start today's conversation, I do want to share a quick note. This episode does include discussions of inpatient treatment, eating disorders, anxiety, control around food and the body, chronic illness, and mental health struggles. If you're sensitive to these topics, please take care of yourself while listening. I also want you to know that this interview is just one part of the conversation. I'm really excited to announce that after this episode, there is a companion episode available where I slow things down and offer more context, reflection questions, and a psychology, social work, and family systems perspective. Thanks so much for listening and supporting the podcast. As always, dkevolving.com is my apparel line. Every purchase has a purpose, and every family is always evolving. Thanks for being here. I'm sitting here with Ellen Wallenfang. You're not just a friend of mine. You play music with my husband. Mm-hmm. You watch our girls. Mm-hmm. You serve me coffee at Infusco. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of overlaps. So Mike and I go to Infusco, regularly. We found out that you have nannied before.
Yes.
And I think I probably was pregnant with Maple,
yes,
would be my guess. We kept talking about it. And then finally we had the third kid. We had Maple and we needed childcare. And it was our first time ever hiring a nanny. Mm-hmm. And I remember calling you because I was in Pawpaw.
I remember.
Do you remember
this?
That?
Yes. No, I remember this conversation.
And I was trying to persuade you to be the nanny or whatever, and you were all in. It seemed like you were all in. I got off the phone. I was telling my sister-in-law. I was I'm so excited. I feel so much relief because we've never done this before. We've always had family, or we had another little childcare situation at one point, but never someone in our home watching the girls. And then you texted me and you were like, just kidding.
Yeah.
I can't. And I was like, what? I was so upset because all of a sudden I was I can't see any other path forward. It has to be Ellen.
No, I know. I wonder, do you even remember the reason that I gave?
Because it was about, when we were talking about money, you were you kind of lowballed me, a pretty low number.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was yeah, that's great.
Was it about money?
Well, and then, because at that point, Maple was so little that I was I'm only going to be working a tiny amount. Mm-hmm. And you basically came back with I would need to make this in a day for it to make sense to not go to my other job.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of didn't see that as you being because I thought maybe you'd be but if I got this much money an hour, then I could make it work kind of thing.
Yeah.
You basically just had a bottom line.
It wasn't a negotiation. It was literally just so this is what this is.
Yes. And I was just what? And then Mike was well, we could probably... Anyway, then he comes back the next day. He talked to you and he's oh, Ellen's in. And I was what?
Do you know the interaction that we literally had was it was backstage, between songs. And he was so... And this is in front of everyone was just standing around backstage. And he goes, so what do I have to get you to do to nanny?
Yeah.
And I was I don't know. I was it's not even I need to,
Yeah.
It's not about me trying to negotiate some whatever. So
yeah.
It was just I guess I don't know. And I think I was also just honestly worried too, because I had a really good relationship with you and relationship with Mike. Being a nanny is a very, it's a very intimate job.
Yeah.
I like to protect my relationships, and so I was just worried, I was I don't want to mess up my relationship with them because I like them and I want us to be good. And thank God it's gone so well.
Thank God we're a year and a half in or so.
At least
it's crazy because Maple's 19 months and you started literally when she was 3 months old. And Mike saved the day. He cut through what we could not communicate. We had a miscommunication. He cut through it, and then it's been great. And we were also concerned too, just the same reasons of we've never done this before. I joked, I was you're gonna have to sign an NDA. No, literally. But what's crazy too is that Soren really likes you.
I love him.
And I just can't tell you enough how much of a compliment that is. So
I don't know. I just I feel I just get, I'm I can meet you where you're at. I get it.
Yeah.
I knew that he wasn't going to like me right away. And I was that's fine. We have time. We'll get to know each other and we'll get there. So.
There's something about your energy that makes him feel calm. And that I need to know what that is. So, I mean, all that to say is you're a very, mature. How old are you? 24?
24. I'm
Yeah.
25.
You're almost 20. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to be 25 April 30th.
That's a big birthday.
No, it's major.
Yes. You're a very mature 24, almost 25-year-old. I do not trust people. So the fact that I trust you with my children says a lot about your character and who you are. You're very talented. You have a lot going for you. You're a musician and artist, so you're sensitive. You, get the world in a way that maybe most 24-year-olds don't. I don't know if you feel that way ever. So, was your childhood perfect?
Oh my God, what do you think? I'm an artist.
Are you an artist because you're tortured?
Well, I don't know. Didn't Taylor Swift write an album, the Tortured Poets Department?
Yes, actually,
Which actually is, my favorite of all of hers.
Really? I actually started re-listening to that because I'm watching the docuseries, and I was like, I never really gave that album much...
It's so good.
Attention.
It's so tea.
Yeah, I feel like she's very endearing, as a side note.
Yeah.
I like
the bangs.
Oh, my personal time with her.
Oh my God, I could just talk about it forever.
I could just talk. I mean, I feel like I know her after this documentary. Oh my gosh. But no, tell me a little bit about who you are.
Let's see. Yes, I am a musician and artist. I feel like that's kind of been the defining factor, I guess, for myself. That's how I've always, I guess, viewed myself since I was a kid. My parents are musicians. That was kind of how I grew up. And I feel like my life has been very transient. When I was growing up, I moved I have no idea, 12 times at least. And it was fun. I honestly liked it and experiencing a lot of different things. But I feel like that definitely plays into who I am now, and just a certain just still kind of transient, non-committal energy a little bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, music has been the through line and through all of that. I have 5 younger brothers.
You don't hear that every day.
No.
Not only all brothers, but 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just age-wise, we're all pretty much 2 years apart down the line.
So your youngest is?
Well, actually, no, the youngest is 10. He's kind of randomly
10.
Yeah.
I feel like he's been 10 for a long time.
On the edge.
Are you sure he's still 10?
Maybe he's 11.
I think he might be 11.
I'm sorry. Oliver, if you hear that. I remember having 4 brothers already at 13 was major for me, and that was just a lot. And we were in the car at the beginning of a 10-hour road trip, and we're all picture me, I'm 13 years old, I just cut off all my hair, I was really emotionally unstable, just crazy. And my parents were so we have something to tell you guys, and my mom just breaking down in the front seat.
Of joy?
No, just crying, just overwhelmed. And my dad's my dad announced it and said that she was pregnant. And I literally was oh my gosh. I just literally remember just looking out the window, just so listening to my tunes, just I can't believe it. But yeah, now I have an awesome 11-year-old brother.
He's he's an age
who's
undefined.
Amazing. He's so sweet. But yeah, so it was a little overwhelming for a while, but now it's fun. Everybody's grown up, and it's fun to all hang out and stuff. So,
yeah. That's cool. And you make music with one of your brothers, right?
I do.
That's cool.
Yes. Yeah. No, they're all musically inclined. 2 of them for sure take it very seriously. They also really like to play music and make music, and so that's really fun. Yeah.
I'm praying that all of our kids are musical. I'm not, and so I'm someone's gonna get the shit end of the stick with that.
Well, I think they all they all are musically inclined, whether they want
Yeah.
I think they all have some of that in them.
Let me ask you this. If someone met you at 16 years old or whatever, what would they think your life looked like?
I've always kind of struggled with how I'm being perceived, and I've tried to control it. I feel I genuinely don't know.
Do you feel there was you could look at different points in your life and be at more around 14 I was this, and 15, 16 I was this? Because I feel I have a very almost a line in who I was of at this stage of my life, I was this person, and I kind of felt like I shifted overnight.
Yeah.
And was like, you know what? I'm done with that, the rebel, and now I'm going to be like high achieving, overdrive perfectionist.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's certain traits that I had throughout all of it that were like consistent with probably what I saw in myself and what other people saw. I think that I was very driven with like with the things I wanted to do. I think maybe not necessarily in maybe things other people wanted, but I was always very driven with what I wanted, and was very, very stubborn and like, I don't know, ambitious, I guess. So, and it's interesting because I feel like an achiever, just like, you know, very high functioning and like whatever, I feel like that's something I'm like scared to commit to saying, because I'm like, I don't know if other people thought that. Maybe they thought I was like, I don't know.
So it feels like a lot of second guessing. Do you do that a lot? That's kind of an artist thing, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if it's like a second guessing, but it's just like, and I don't want to be wrong or something.
Oh, interesting. Do you feel like there are parts of yourself that other people like praised you for that didn't actually feel safe for you? Like almost like you were playing a role.
When like I did a good job with something and like people were like openly giving me affirmation, like I would hope that that would be something I could repeat and that wasn't like an accident. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There would be stuff that I would be like affirmed for on the outside, but then I'd be like internally like, okay, well you have to be able to like do that every time then. Like,
do you feel like that was just with art and music or like other areas of your life?
Definitely with art and music, probably with other areas too.
I talk to people about body image every day. I mean, I just started this new section of teen groups. I'm running a middle school group and a high school group back to back. And it's like the girls in the group are different, look different, like different ages. There's a lot of differences and a lot of similarities. I mean, pretty much everyone struggles with body image. Yeah. And which is a reminder that like it doesn't look a certain way and it's also not necessarily what people think it is. And so I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about like body image, about eating disorders. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was that your experience, and not that that's everyone's experience, but I like the idea of hearing from different people and be like, what was it for you? What was the trigger? How did you get through it? What did it serve for you? Without further ado, the real questions that I came to ask you about. When did you first realize that food or your body had become a way to cope? Like not just like a neutral thing.
I always loved positive reinforcement and positive feedback. And I think like whenever like consciously or subconsciously I would make some kind of connection between like, you know, I'm getting like positive feedback about the way I look or like things like that, it would be very comforting to me. Like, oh, okay, like I'm okay, like I'm approved, whatever.
It almost feels like what you just said of like, how do I do that again? Or like, how do I keep this coming?
Yes, yeah.
Right? This like lifeline that it was for you. Do you have an age that you remember like first looking in the mirror and being like, oh.
Yeah. Like
noticing.
Good or bad.
Good or bad, right? Like I feel like there's a period of time where kids are just on the playground playing. They're not thinking about what they look like. And I feel like now earlier and earlier they're like aware of what they look like. Yeah. And they're not free. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel like I always liked, this is so funny. I actually don't really think about this, but when I was like a kid, I used to always like just like perform to myself in the mirror and like sing to myself and like do whatever I like practice.
Yeah, also did that. If it makes you, I would pretend to cry.
Oh, I love. Yeah.
Because I really wanted to learn how to cry on command.
It's literally, I'd be like, how do people do that? What was the question again? Like what age?
Like do you feel like there's an age? Like I'll give you an example. For me, I remember in 7th grade, like, not having boobs. Yeah. And, like, wearing 2 bras. Yeah. And that was my first type of, like, I didn't like how I looked, and I was comparing myself to other girls. Yeah. But, I mean, thank God I didn't have, like, normal social media, because I think I could have been a wreck. I'm not kidding. Yeah. Like, because I didn't really... Anyway.
No, I know.
But that's, like, for me, when I was like, oh, right, I don't like how this looks.
That probably was, like... 11, 12.
Yeah, like that middle school age. I remember looking in the mirror with one of this girl, her name was Alyssa Byers, and she was like so pretty and so like mature, really mature. And she was like, I can vividly remember like in her mirror being like, oh, your like far apart eyes are like really in right now. And she was, and I remember being like looking at my eyes and being like, are mine far apart? And she was like, yeah, like they kind of are. I don't even know if they are. Like my face has grown or changed or whatever. But like I remember being like, oh, I would have never thought about my eyes before. Because I was kind of like a tomboy-ish. Like, I don't know. I have two parts of myself where I like can be way more tomboy and way more feminine. But just like stupid stuff like that where you just start noticing.
Do you know what I think is what I'm kind of like realizing as we're like beginning to talk about this is like I've always also had an attitude of like, well, I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what I look like. And so it is weird because like, yeah, I've always just been like, well, whatever, I don't care. Like if there was something that I was insecure about, like that was a huge thing. I never wanted to be perceived as insecure. I was like, no one's gonna think whatever. So yeah, it's like weird to like be like, when did I start kind of becoming aware of myself and how I looked? And it's like hard to pull that up, I guess, because I'm like, I even tried to hide that, you know, from myself, that I even cared about what I looked like. I think I referenced this earlier, but like when I was 13, like I had like really long thick hair, and I was like, I told someone one day, I was like, I think I'm gonna cut it all off for like the shock factor, and everyone was like, no, don't cut your hair off. And I was like, oh,
so now I'm going
I'm gonna cut it off. And I hated it. I literally hated it, and I was so like disconnected from what I looked like, but I like never told anyone I hated it. I was like, yeah, I love it, whatever. Yeah, I think that was even bigger than what I looked like. Was I wanted to be confident, and I wanted to be I didn't want to care, you know. So
which I mean, that's a very difficult trait to parent. Those kids, I have one, but it's also you can use that for good things too, to be like, I'm gonna be bold, I'm gonna be different, I don't want to be a cookie cutter person, you know, even if you're like, dang it, I do hate this.
I know.
You know.
I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 15. There's never a good time to be like diagnosed with that. When you're 15, like that's really not ideal because you're so preoccupied, like, and like I said, I didn't want to admit to myself that I even cared about what other people thought, but I was. Guys, if you're listening and you're hearing diabetes and you're like, oh, da 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 da, here are all my like, you know, preconceived notions about what that means, like that was like a huge like fear of mine. Like I literally didn't want to tell anyone that I was diagnosed with that because everyone's like, oh, that means like you hear diabetes and you're like, oh, you did that to yourself, like it's because of something you ate, whatever. There's so many jokes about it in like media, and like you know, there are two different kinds of diabetes. There's like type 1, which is autoimmune, you can't, you know, you really can't do anything about that diagnosis. And then type 2 is like the more common one that we kind of see all these commercials about, and there's like a lot of things can be like managed with lifestyle or like whatever, but that one is still genetic, and like still no matter what you do, oftentimes you can't prevent it, and like no one should be shamed for any of that, but people are. So anyway, I was diagnosed with type 1, which like is different from type 2, just in that like there truly is nothing you can do to prevent your body from like shutting down on itself and whatever and like causing that. So anyway, I had to learn all of that when I was diagnosed. Well, actually this kind of ties into the eating disorder of it all, because basically if you have type 1, basically your pancreas is not producing any insulin, so long story short, you aren't absorbing any of the sugar that you eat. So that summer, I remember I lost, because my body was like shutting down, I had no idea, and I was like, all I knew was that I was like really, really thirsty all the time. I was like peeing all the time. I was really lethargic. My brain just felt really, really foggy, but I was just like, whatever, like maybe this is just like how life is, like I don't know,
hormones,
like literally like life sucks, I don't know. But what I thought was awesome was I was like losing a lot of weight, and I was like, oh my god, like literally my body is tea. Like I was like I was like looking at, because I do remember looking at myself in the mirror and having like conscious thoughts like, oh my god, like wow, like and I had also been like running that summer. I was like wow, like this running thing is something, like oh my gosh. All that to say, like I was super sick, so by the time I got to the doctor's office that fall, they, like, obviously were very concerned with what they were seeing. They ran some tests. I pretty much went to the ER that day, like, was diagnosed, was in the ICU for 4 days, all of that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, it was major.
The ICU?
Girl, the ICU. Like, I went to the ER, and they, like, tested my blood sugar, which, by the way, if, like, no one knows this, it should be between 80 and 120. And mine was, like, 700. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my
It was, like, so bad. So, anyways, I was, like, sent home from all that with all this new information about, first of all, diabetes. Like I said, it's, like, major. Like, that's a kind of scary thing to hear if you're, like, you know. And also, if you just kind of, you grow up just hearing all these cultural things about it where it's like, oh, you caused that, you do that to yourself. And I feel like, you know, I already felt like my, like, body was maybe bigger than a lot of my friends. And I was like, oh, so, like, great, now I have this, like, diabetes, whatever. You know, I didn't have any kind of fancy tech. Like, I literally was taking insulin out of a vial with a syringe. I was poking my finger to check my blood sugar. Like, it was, like, very manual. Like, it was a whole to-do. And so, like, you have to do all these calculations about what you're going to eat, like, all this and that. So it was just, like, a lot. And, like I said, like, I'm already very stubborn. I don't, like, when anyone tells me what to do, like, I don't like to be controlled or, like, managed by anybody. I have a literal chart in front of me where I have to, like, write down all these numbers about what is my blood sugar, what are the exact carbs I'm gonna eat, what am I gonna dose myself in 3 hours when my blood sugar is not where it's supposed to be, what mistake did I make. When you start to take insulin again, if you haven't had that in your body for a while, you do start to gain weight. So I probably gained, I don't know how much I gained, but I definitely gained a lot of weight kind of in that year when I was, like, 16 and then 17. During that time, like, I was kind of struggling to manage the diabetes, and because I didn't like to pull my whole kit out, like, you know, and just, like, you know, pull out this whole syringe. And, like, even if people were, like, not making comments about the diabetes itself, they would be like, oh my god, I could never do that. I can't believe you have to stop. Like, just there's so much commentary, and, like,
Jeez.
and, like, but you know, your brain can't help it. Like, even adults can't help it. Like, adults literally are idiots. Like, they say crazy stuff all the time. Like, teens, you know, they can't help it. Like, yeah, it's, like, not, you know, not normal.
Yeah.
So, like, I already didn't want to, like, take all that stuff out. So I was, like, missing a lot of doses. And I would, like, also, this was crazy, but my parents would, like, ask me what my blood sugars were, and, like, I would only be able to see them on a monitor. And they would, like, ask me what they were. And I'd be like, I would lie about them. I would drop the number by, like, 200. I would, like, check it. It would be, like, 450. And I'd be like, it's, like, 250.
Oh, my
It was,
gosh.
like, still high, but it was, like, whatever. Because I didn't want them to freak out. I didn't want them to be upset that I, like, was doing that to myself.
And you were doing this on purpose?
At this point, no. I was just kind of forgetting.
Okay, yeah.
But I was, in a sense, like, I didn't want to, like, be controlled by this thing.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know at what point I, like, put this together, but essentially if you don't take your insulin, you do lose weight because you're not, you know, your body isn't absorbing the sugar you're eating. Like I said, I don't really remember, like, how I, like, learned that was the case, but I know that it was probably when I think I was 17. And I did notice that I had, you know, gained a good amount of weight. If I am skipping doses, which I am, like, that's kind of helping me out. Again, all of that I felt was subconscious for, like, a long time. I was like, whatever, like, this is just an added bonus to, like, not being controlled by this thing, is that, okay, maybe I'll lose some weight. Great.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I kind of got, like, and I would get more tech. Like, I got this thing that I wore all the time to, like, monitor my blood sugar, whatever. See the numbers on my phone instead of pricking it. And, like, I would get notifications, like, constantly about my blood sugar being high, and I would just turn them off. When your blood sugar is, like, that high, like, your brain feels like someone poured syrup on it. And, like, you really, like, there's so much that's, like, I feel like still foggy from all that time, because it's, like, so strange, because, like, I was maintaining, like, relationships, and I was doing really well in school and doing all these things, but, like, I genuinely cannot, like, recall so much of it, because I just, like, you know, was not taking my medications correctly, and just can't remember. So yeah,
which is just what I always am reminded of, is that a lot of times kids appear like they're fine and they're not. Yeah. And they're struggling with all of these other things, whether it's health things, family things, whatever, and they're still doing the things in quotes that they're supposed to be doing, and so they don't get flagged from, like, people, you know.
That's so true. Yeah. And then at some point it became like a conscious, like,
I'm not
sweet,
taking this.
I'm not gonna take that.
Yeah.
We'll see, like, let's ride, let's see what happens.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was part of that was self-harm?
I've
like
thought about
a
that.
way of self-harm?
Yes, I have thought about that. Probably, you know, obviously, like, my eating disorder is rooted in the diabetes, but, like, kind of throughout my whole journey with, like, having an eating disorder, I've, like, learned that, like, if you don't have one eating disorder, you'll probably have another one. Like, if I didn't have the type 1, I probably would have had some other kind of huge disordered eating problem, just because of, like, I guess the purpose that it served for me, you know?
Yeah.
So diabetes just happened to be a very convenient way to figure that out, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So then what was, like, rock bottom for you? Like, when did it become, like, you said that you were in the hospital, the ICU, right, when you first found out that you were diabetic. So, like, I assume this didn't go as planned.
100%.
And probably shit hit the fan a little bit.
Yeah, so...
I said I wasn't going to swear, but here I am.
No, I love it.
Couple of swear words.
I do remember the exact moment, but I guess, like, I kind of made it all through college with, you know, conscious choices to, like, not take it. Was very aware with how it was, like, making my body look and all these things. Like, I was, like, amazing, like, this is awesome, but I was, like, really not feeling well.
Yeah, I imagine. And like, you still hid all of this from your parents?
No, like, they were pretty aware. Like,
okay.
there was hiding in the sense of, like at the beginning when stuff was on my monitor, but, like, they were very aware. And, like, my parents were always, like, very observant. And even, like, I remember I had, like, teachers in high school, and, like, pretty close friends who would, like, notice when my brain fog and just symptoms would be really bad. Like, I even, like, my eyes would look a certain way. Like, people just knew when, like, my blood sugar was high, and, like, they would be very concerned. Like, so there was a ton of concern from my parents, like, huge. But, like,
ooh, I can't wait to find out, like, how that translated.
Well, and, like, they would, like, try to have conversations. Like, I mean, we had so many conversations. Yeah, they wouldn't go well. I'm sure they were very, very scared. I know they were very scared. It kind of hits a little bit now, and I'm like, I don't know, like, the gravity of kind of what I was doing, like, that's like very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I was, like, literally driving. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like it was very dangerous. So like, they were very aware of what was going on. Like, I had professors who were aware. Very good grades. Like, I had, like, 3 jobs in college. Like, oh my God. I was, like, had lots of friendships, like, romantic relationship. Pretty much it all kind of came to a head at the end of my senior year. I was supposed to graduate from music school on my birthday. That was supposed to be, like, that was the graduation day. Yeah, it was April 30th. And pretty much that whole semester, I, like, could not go to class. I was so sick. I could not even get out of bed. Very just, like, mentally in a really bad spot.
Yeah.
And, like, physically, that was not helping either. Like, you know, like, my body just couldn't even, like, help my brain. Like, I couldn't even move my, like, I could not get to class. I could not complete any classwork like that. And again, this is all, like, I don't like to care about, like, things. So, like, I tried not to care about my GPA, but, like, I think I was proud. Like, I had a good GPA, and, like, literally I tanked it. Like, it was, like, it was so bad. But yeah, pretty much, like, I very quietly failed the last semester of college. And, like, there was never really a conversation about it. There was never really any. It was just like, oh, I guess here are all these grades coming in F. Okay, I guess this is just not happening. Like, I don't even think I registered to graduate. I literally don't even, like, remember much about that semester. So then that fall, like, as a musician and, like, teaching lessons and working as, like, a barista and all of that, I ended up moving back home with my parents that fall. And I taught music at a school for a semester. And I do remember the moment where I was like, this is, like, literally rock bottom. But I was, like, sitting in the parking lot of the school that I was teaching at, and I was, like, sitting in my car. Like, I never wanted to die, but I remember, like, sitting there and I was like, I think I'm going to die. Like, I literally think I'm going to die if I don't do something about this. Like, I literally, like, my head is in such a bad place. My body, like, actually does, like, it was catching up to me. Like, I was like, I'm like, a little scared.
Yeah.
The thought of, like, something changing or, like, getting help or just doing something felt like such a relief to me, because I I was so unhappy. And, like, yeah, I was so unhappy and so sad. Like, I was so sad. So sad about, like, so many things. And, like, I just, like, needed something major to change.
I mean, that was 4 or 5 years maybe?
Yeah,
that
I
you
was
were, like...
diagnosed when I was 15, and then I was 21 at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was, like,
Okay.
6 years.
Yeah.
Of, like, no physical complications from any of this.
Wow.
Which is actually, like, insane.
Like a miracle?
Like, I don't... Like, okay. Like, it's actually really crazy. Because there should have been physical consequences. And, like... Which, obviously, like, there are. Like, okay, like, I don't remember a lot of things. Like, I guess my memory.
Yeah.
Which is, like, very sad, actually. But...
That is sad.
But that's kind of the main thing. I think my brain was just mostly kind of affected.
You know, I have daughters.
Yeah.
I was a daughter, and I was similar traits of, like, if you tell me what to do, that's cute. Like, I'll do what I want.
Yeah.
And not that, I mean, a lot of times it was like, I'm going to get a 4.0, but then I'm thinking about, like, this idea of so many parents want to help their kids.
Dude.
But, like, what... And you have parents that care about you, that are engaged with you, that, like, you know... are not just throwing the towel in with you. Like, what was that like for you guys?
I think it was really, really hard. Like, I think already, like, I know that my parents, like, they respect the part of me that's, like, very, like, stubborn and, like, does what I want and doesn't care. I know, I do know that because they have voiced that. And also, like, I think it obviously makes things difficult when, you know, parents do have to have some kind of, well, okay, let me not say some kind. They do have an authority over you. That was really hard because that dynamic is there already. And then when you put this, like, huge diagnosis in the middle of it that requires so much control, so much monitoring, so many, like, very specific factors. And I do just remember we had a lot of conversations, like, before, I mean, anyone knew that this was some kind of eating disorder. I mean, that was discovered probably when I was 20. I was like, oh,
wow, this
is, like, an eating disorder. It was, like, from my parents' perspective, it was like, why, like, truly, why can't you just, there is a very clear way to fix this. Why can you not do that? Because in their mind, like, and it makes sense. Like, there is a very clear answer. Like, this is how you stay healthy. This is what you're supposed to do. And I just remember, like, my dad would, like, look at, like, my numbers and he'd be like, I just don't get it. He's like, why? You know what you're supposed to do. I don't know why you're not. And I would literally just be like, I literally don't want to. I literally, like, would forget that I had it. Like, genuinely. Like, I would just block it out of my mind. I'd be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. But I know that, like, it was, like, very, very hard for my parents. Like, just, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I, like, feel very, very, like, sad about that because, like, I can't imagine, like, what that felt like.
Yeah.
And so
I think about, like, the snowball effect of, like, you start trying this out. It almost starts innocent, if you will, kind of. And then the combination of, like, the actual physical effects that your body was breaking down, your brain was not functioning, and then you add in all of this other stuff and it just, like, keeps getting worse and worse. Like, you're like, I don't even know what, like, I wasn't even necessarily in some ways aware of what I was doing because it was just this, like, culmination of all of these different factors. I think what's fascinating is a lot of times people think an eating disorder is, because you just want to look skinny, right?
Right.
But there's, like, so much more to that than that. And a lot of times it's not because of that. Like, that might be how it starts, or that might be, like, a through line, potentially. But it can serve as a lot of different things.
Because of this whole, like, attitude of, like, not caring and, like, not wanting anything to have control over me. That's what it served for me, was just, like, this is what I can control. I can control. And I think, like, even if I want to, like, bring it back to, like, even just, like, moving so much, or just, like, having, there's so many parts of my life where it was just, like, I don't really have control over where my body is going. So I'm
that's good.
Gonna, like, and also, like, I don't have, like, type 1. It's autoimmune. You cannot prevent it. So my body is like literally betraying me. I don't know why it's doing this. I have no control over my inside either. Ooh. So it's like, for me, like, looking back, it was definitely just a way for me to be like, okay, well, I can't control the outside, I can't control the inside, so I'm just gonna forget and just block, you know, all of this out. I'm just gonna, like, pretend like this diagnosis doesn't exist. I'm gonna enjoy the benefits of that, and I'm just gonna, like, whatever, just, you know, that was just how I was trying to cope.
That's really insightful. Wow. No, it is. Of like this, I couldn't control where my body was going. I'm sure every teenager feels like they can't control a number of things, you know? And this idea of like, I'm at war with my own body. Yeah, no, literally internally, like it shut down on me. And also like the medical term for when your blood sugars are crazy like that is literally type 1 diabetes uncontrolled in parentheses. Oh my God. I would literally see that on papers and I'd be like, ha! I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, okay. Wow. Like, that's literally Ellen is not being controlled by that's literally the medical control. Like, the medical term. Like, yeah. The mental effects of, like, it being so foggy, like, that was almost just, like, this white noise absorption in my brain. I think I was just, like, there was, I think, just so many things, like, running in the background that I was just trying not to think about. Mm-hmm. So I think the physiological effect of, like, just having like this foggy brain just kind of would absorb that a little bit. Was it kind of like a numbness too? Yeah. Is there anything that you think your parents could have done that could have maybe moved up the intervention, like the rock bottom? And I'm not to say that they did anything wrong, but just 100%. Like, I know parents are always like, okay, great, but like, so what are we supposed to do? Yeah, I think like there was just a lot of like heightened emotions always from both ends that was just genuinely out of like fear. The more like calm everyone can be and like I guess curious and like trying not to like do the blame thing and just kind of like whatever. And this is just specifically for my situation, but like knowing that there is like the possibility of an eating disorder and just being aware of that and just kind of knowing like what to maybe look for, I guess. But it's hard to know if I would have even, like, received that well. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they had been like, we think you might, like, I would have been like, absolutely not. Right. Like, no, that's not what's going on. So, I don't know. The calmer everyone can be and the more just, like, affirming that, like, you're safe and, like, nothing's gonna happen and we love you kind of thing is, like, I don't know. I think maybe conversations could always be led with that. Right. And finished with that kind of thing. Because sometimes it can just, everyone just kind of has, like, a point that they want to get to in the conversation. Like, that's the reason why they're, like, having it, whatever. Even though the whole point is that everyone loves each other. They all want each other to be okay. Maybe didn't, like, feel like that, I guess. Yeah, it gets lost in translation. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, and, like, you know, then that kind of does get to heightened emotions or whatever, then that can also trigger more of the behavior. Oh, 100%. So it's, I don't feel like I've ever, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel like I've not really heard much of like, my parents yelled at me and that was it. Like, that's when I finally got better. Yeah. You know, it almost feels like it doesn't really ever help. I get it. I mean, I get being freaked out, especially if you think your kid's gonna die and you don't have any control over it. It's terrifying. Right, exactly. And like, their reactions were probably warranted in a lot of situations. Like, I'm just sorry. Like, thinking about, like, like, there would be, like, a busting into my room kind of situations. Yeah. Like, what am I looking at? Oh, yeah, because there was a point where, like, they had my numbers on their phones. Like, you could share them. Uh-huh. There were several, like, meltdowns, like, on both ends about, like, literally what is this? And I'd be like, what? Okay, like, I think about, like, what's the safety plan, right? Yeah. Like, the safety plan for self-harm, you know, although it kind of dumb is, like, take away sharp objects and, like, things like that. Or that can be part of a safety plan. But, like, can they just stab you with an insulin shot? Like there were comments about that. They're like, we're going to have to hold you down and do... And I was like, why would you even say that? Yeah. I mean, I think that was what was so tricky was, like, you know, they would have, like, big reactions because they're freaked out because they knew me and they knew my personality and they knew that there was nothing they could do and they're just like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah. What am I supposed to do as a parent? Always, like, more education to be had. And like I said, like, you know, I think if we knew about, like, certain bad things that could happen and whatever, I don't know, might have been helpful, but who knows? Yeah. I do think it's really fascinating, the medical part of the diabetes, that like there's so many calculations, there's so many rules, there's so many things that you have to do to keep everything in track, that then this is like the way that you can control that. And I feel like I've heard about this from, you know, other kids that have like cancer or something, and that's when like an eating disorder comes up, because again, your life becomes not your own. And then it's a way to try and like take control over that. If any kid is trying to calculate their calories and all of that crap, it just fuels this, it creates all of these rules. But you have to have those rules. And so it's just like, I've heard this too said about eating disorders, which I think is so interesting. Like, if you're an alcoholic, you cannot drink alcohol, and you don't need alcohol. You don't need drugs, right? You need food. We all need food. It's the one like addiction or whatever that you can't not do. So you have to like make peace with this thing multiple times a day. It's so intense and so complex. And then you add in culture and pressure, and like we could talk about being an artist and a musician and like the pressure and standards that come out of that. So we could have you dealt with that? We could, in theory. I have questions lined up for that. So when you were getting the effects of not taking the insulin, like, why did that feel good to you? What were you trying to attain? Why did that mean something to you?
Well, I definitely, obviously I liked the physical effects of like, you know, it would change my shape and my weight and all those things. And like, that was something that I recognized. I don't know. It just tied into like the whole, I don't care about things. Like if I don't like something, then I don't want to deal with it.
But do you feel like you were trying to attain, like in your head, a certain size, a certain number, I want to look like this artist, my friends look like this?
I don't know.
Okay.
I literally don't know, because like that was never something that like I could admit to myself, because like I didn't want to care.
Because you couldn't care.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can't really say that there was someone I wanted to look like, probably because like I was subconscious. I mean, I was aware of what my body looked like, and I was like, well, my body's not going to look like that, but like, whatever, I'm not going to just care about that, like, whatever, you know? When I would have to like watch back self-tapes, I'd be like, oh my god, like, I like, literally don't want to look at what I look like. Do you know what I mean? I can't like say specifically what I wanted to look like, I guess, because I just didn't want to like think about it.
No, this is actually really interesting to me, because I feel like a lot of times I've heard more about like this size, this number, like these are my safe numbers.
And I think I also knew that like that wasn't something I could accomplish. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't think at any point like I'm ever going to like look like this person, and there's probably nothing I can do to look like that. Like, that's
kind of freeing though,
I guess, in a sense, but like apparently it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like apparently it wasn't, because I literally went to rehab. So like,
yes, which I want to talk about. I think about that. Like the first time that I feel like I really focused on like what I looked like was when I was in New York, and up until that point, like I had, besides the double bras in 7th grade, like I felt really confident. And I don't know if that's because I didn't have social media in the way that it is now, or I don't know the factors about that. I was an athlete, like just wasn't something that I thought about a lot until I lived with two girls that had just different, I could never have their body size. Like they were just naturally very thin, European, right? Like a completely different frame. That's when I started being like, oh, right? And then being in the world, that New York world, and someone was like, you should really just lose like 10 or 15 pounds. And I was like, okay, like literally went into it so innocent of like, that can't be that hard. Like people do this, right? And then that's what for me started this like my own little stint that I had, a little journey or whatever. A little stint of like, all of a sudden I'm thinking about what I look like in a way that I didn't think before, and like that's so annoying. I don't want to.
And raise your hand if you've ever had a stint. No, because everyone literally does. Like,
yes, I know.
So guys, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so you went to rehab. Let's talk about the clink, but for just eating disorder?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always feel like people think of rehab as like alcohol.
Yes.
But it's not.
No, guys, there is a place for everyone.
Someone was
Even if
asking
you
me
have
recently.
diabulimia, there are 2 in the U.S. Well, yeah, there are 2 companies. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I had a kid recently be like, I need like an inpatient place for like breakup recovery. And I was like, that would be...
Yeah.
Maybe that's just going on vacation with your family.
Well, you just need to go lie alone in like a padded room with some like fuzzy socks. I don't know.
Did you ask to go to rehab?
I was 21. It was October. I just came back from like seeing Harry Styles like at the United Center in Chicago, and I literally paid like, by the way, like $400 to stand like against the back wall of the United Center. It was awesome. Anyways, I came home and like I said, I was just like so, it was so bad.
Yeah.
And I was like sitting in the parking lot, like about to go in and teach, and I was like, oh my God, I can't, I need to do something. And I literally, I think I just Googled like treatment centers near me.
Yeah. Google location on?
Because I really didn't even know like what was, because at that point I knew like what diabulimia was.
Which I don't think we've actually formally said this.
Yes,
like,
okay,
that's what your
so
diagnosis
there is a diagnosis, which it actually like is not in the DSM technically. I
had not heard of it, and I felt like a noob that I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, it's not in the DSM, but it is like mentioned in there under eating disorders.
Okay.
They'll be like, I think it's in like the bulimia. Me literally having had looked in the DSM. Where did I find that? I don't know. But I looked, and it is like under bulimia. They'll be like, this can be co-occurring with diabetes, whatever. I like knew that word. I think I looked up diabulimia treatment. I don't know. I was just like doing some Googling in my car before work. And then I just went to work. And then I went home, and I was living with my parents again. And I remember I walked into the kitchen, and I just kind of looked at my mom, and I was like, I think I like need to go to treatment. And I remember like I just felt very relieved. I think there was just so much that I was like grieving at the time with like stuff that hadn't gone the way that I thought it would. There might be like some things could get better. And I remember my mom was like very calm, very like, I could tell she was relieved, but she didn't want to be like too like,
right.
She's like, okay, great. And then I went, I was living in their attic, and I went upstairs, and I like got in my bed, and I just started Googling stuff. And then like I kind of basically just like looked at places that treated diabulimia, which like there were 2 companies like in the US that did get me and my body away. Like I literally did just not want to be existing kind of where I was and like I was. So inpatient sounded awesome, and like we did like an intake phone call, and then I remember like literally shout out my girl Crystal, like I don't know. But I remember we did like an intake phone call, and then she like texted me the next day, and she was like, so we have like a spot for you at like one of the houses like on Monday. And I was like, oh, like so like
like this Monday?
I was like, do you guys like hold places? Like I don't know. And she was like, no, we don't normally, but she was like, I will stay in contact with you until when do you think you would want to come? And I said, well, what about January? Like new year, new me. I don't know. So she was so kind. That is totally not normal. Usually you call those places, then you just kind of go right away. So you can't like plan your admission day. So, but we planned the week. Basically, it was like the first week of January. Literally hopped off the plane at LAX, literally. And
so it was in LA?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that was planned for you. I gotta go to LA.
I literally go, guys, it's the only place that treats what I have, and I'm dying.
Your parents were like...
Literally like, we'll pay that deductible. Like, I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask you, so like, did you have insurance cover it? Like, 'cause I feel like there's a lot of barriers sometimes for these treatment places.
Yes. So, I was on my parents' insurance, and that did cover, because basically, like, they kind of, like, report also to insurance, like, how you're doing every week. So that is, like, a major conversation when you're in treatment, is, like, what they're reporting to, like, insurance, I guess. Because you can't be doing, like, they can't report that you're doing too well, like, you're progressing too much, because then they're going to be like, okay, well, you don't get any more coverage, then you're all done. But you can't report that you're not making progress, because then they'll also want to boot you. So it's like, I think, the people that work there, they have a hard job of kind of deciding what they're going to say.
Yeah.
But yes, I was on my parents' insurance, so thankfully that was like, I think there was just like a deductible that had to be paid literally because it was January, but that was like it. And then when it came to like kind of other out-of-pocket expenses that like I would have been responsible for, they asked, they were like, can we just see your bank statements so that like if you can get financial aid we can get it for you. And I was like, please don't make me like, but I sent them like my last 3 months of bank statements and they were like, oh yeah, we 100%
like you're poor.
I think I had like, I don't know, $500 like in my bank account.
And then how long were you there for?
So I did residential, like inpatient.
So you're living there, you're doing the whole...
Yeah, so basically like where I admitted to was a house that would have 6 clients at a time. And I lived there for 2 months, January through March. Or, yeah, month and 7 weeks. And then I did 4 months of outpatient.
In LA?
Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the thing, one of the huge things that I would have had to pay out of pocket for was to kind of, they have like places where out of town clients can stay. And like for the most part, like all the outpatient clients are local. They had a few out of town where they have like places for people to stay. Mm-hmm. And you would usually pay for those, but literally I was so broke that like, shout out, they covered it. I remember one of the girls at the table was like, so where else have you like gone? And like all of them were like repeat clients, had been to a bunch of other places. And I was like, oh, this is like my first time. This is my first time. I was very lucky to have a very positive experience in residential. Yeah. Really set the tone for me to like want to see the rest of the program through, to like do all of the outpatient until like I was completely done with it and discharged.
What does recovery kind of look like?
We would be in like groups because you're pretty much like in group therapy or your own individual sessions all day. And if it's eating disorder specific, you like eat like 6 times a day and like whatever. I was I wouldn't say enthusiastic, but I was very much ready to like be there, and I wanted to get better. For me, that was a huge part in like getting me through those beginning stages, was that I was like wanting that for myself and I wanted to be there.
Was your eating disorder but like predominantly with the insulin, or would you skip meals? Did you think about what you ate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is like, I mean, primarily was like insulin, but I did do just like a lot of other like disordered stuff with food. So I discharged after 6 months. I like did inpatient, did outpatient, whatever. So I moved here and period.
And you're still here. Much to our delight.
I like kind of had, I guess, like talked to a couple different like a dietitian and like a couple therapists, but like I hate doing virtual stuff. And actually, like I think in the state of Michigan, I think Michigan's one of the only places that like your insurance doesn't cover dietitians. Like you have to get a super bill. I like found a dietitian that like could kind of work with what I had, but it was like so expensive, and I was like I didn't have money to pay for it, obviously. Right. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just not gonna have a dietitian then. Okay. So there went that huge part. And then I tried at a couple therapists that I just didn't like. And not because, like, I don't know, that I was, like, stubborn and, like, didn't want to do what they were saying. It was just kind of, like, we just didn't, like...
Click,
yeah. So, and then I just kind of was like, okay, well, okay, that's that. There was, like, a pretty big gap in care, probably right after treatment, which was kind of crazy because... I went from 6 months where that was like all I did was sit in like therapy and sessions and talk about this stuff, to like not and I tried, like I said, a couple different people, but it just wasn't a good fit, and then I just kind of stopped looking. I definitely kind of struggled to like have a follow-up plan.
It's just hard to get, there's a lot of hoops to jump through for care, right? Like whether it's money, insurance, time, right provider, scheduling, like there's just a lot of barriers, which sucks, because then what do we just go, okay, well, I guess crap, like I'm not going to get any care, and then that just potentially could burden the system, right? Because what if you need to go inpatient again and pause your life for 6 months again? I mean, like that's a huge commitment. So how are you doing now?
Better. I think like I definitely had like quite a dip post-treatment. I think also just in the sense of like I was 22 when I discharged, it was kind of like, I felt really good in treatment, and I felt good about myself, and like, I was like, okay, like, I'm maybe kind of starting to like begin to unpack like everything that I just went through like the last kind of 5 or 6 years. Well, I was like in there, but then when I like discharged, I was like, oh, like I like just kind of began to lose all of that again. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like over the last like 2.5 years being here, I've been like piece all of that together on my own, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. The reason I wanted to move here was I do have like a history, I guess, with this area, just in terms of like kind of family ties or whatever. It's just like a very like peaceful area. I've stayed because I just have felt like in my gut like I was like supposed to, and like even though I guess I haven't had, and I could have, but that's not what happened. It's okay. I could have had like kind of proper follow-up care and all this stuff. I think there has been so much healing that's happened just in kind of living here, because I don't know, the nature of this area is there's just a lot of like connection that happens.
Yep.
And like and like I'd never really experienced that before. And my whole journey with like all of this too, like the eating disorder and stuff, like it's interesting because it's not really something like I talk about a lot and share about a lot, but that I'm healing from, and that I have healed from, in community with all of these people that don't really know a lot about me, who've been very, very helpful for me, you know?
Yeah. What would you want a teen girl listening to this to hear?
I think when there are like people and spaces like where you feel safe, I think you need to like lean into that, where there are places where you feel like you can share and you can talk, to embrace that and to lean into it. Because I think there's like so much, like when you're like a teenager, at least like I felt this way, that like I just kept like very much like bottled up to everybody and like to myself. And I remember I would have like certain moments with like a teacher or like an adult or just someone a little older than me, where all of a sudden I just like all of a sudden felt this like safety and like this clarity, I guess, to like I don't know, open up and like even discover things about myself when I was like with them. I would say if there's like, I don't know, anyone that makes you feel like that, to like, I guess, explore that safety a little bit. Be in touch with yourself too, you know?
So lean into the supports that are around you, and that there are probably more support than you realize. And support can look like a lot of different things, right? It can look like inpatient, it can look like a teacher, it can look like, you know, theater class, and just being free. I was talking to someone recently, and they dance, and I was like, oh, like I know that, I feel like that's also kind of a world where it's very focused on what people look like. And she was like, no, I actually just, that's when I feel the most free, and I'm not focused on what I look like. And I was like, crazy. That's so beautiful. Like I was so happy to hear that, you know? Yeah, and as someone who has daughters, what can I do to help them? Daughters that you care for.
I know, I'm like, oh.
My sweet girls who are sweet and sensitive and feisty and passionate and loving.
I know. You and Mike already kind of, you do this, and like I think the priority that I see is like that you want to like look them in the eye and let them know that you love them and that you see them, you know. And like
so sweet.
And I think that is like huge, and that's like so important, and like that is something that their body will remember, that, you know, is like that my parents are safe and my parents love me. Yeah. You know, that has been established from like a very young age, you know. So I think that's huge, and that will, you know, hopefully be a part of them, you know, forever. So that's what I would say.
Dang, that makes me emotional. I'm like, I feel like that just hit, that this is so weird. I feel like that hit me on like my own child self. Like you talking about me as a parent just affected me as like from like my inner child, which is weird because I feel like I definitely felt misunderstood. Yeah. Another thing that I always want to bring it back to is that, you know, talking to the people that I get the honor of working with, doing the interview that I did with the girl before, of like people that have been through really hard times, but then I'm sitting here talking to them, like gleaning insight from them. And it's a reminder that like pain doesn't have to be a bad thing. And not that we want that or whatever, but it's unavoidable. Everyone has something that's hard that they're going through. But if we can, like, again, lean into it, lean into the support, lean into the experience of what it's trying to tell you, I think we can come out of it changed in a way that can have profound impact.
Yeah.
On not just your life, but others. If I think about your parents, I would love to interview them too.
I'm sure that would be a really good interview, honestly.
Yeah. But of like, what was it like to be like, I can't help my child? Yeah. And then now knowing that like you are in a much different place, like it's not going to be perfect. It never is. But like you have come through that experience. That's like, again, if we meet our child where we're at, if we're curious, if we offer the safety for them, I don't know, maybe that really is the only thing that we can do. Especially with those stubborn kids.
Dude, I know.
I was a stubborn kid too.
I know. Just tell them you love them, you know?
Yeah.
It'll be okay. Whatever it is, you know? I think there's, like, reasons that, like, stubbornness comes out, you know, and we want to, like, fight certain things. But it's like, it's okay. You, like, don't have to fight things all the time.
I think it's a good reminder for parents, too, to be, like, untangling their fear with their reaction. Like, I like to think about it like anger is easy, right? Like, it's quick, it's easy, it's like the top layer. And underneath that is always fear, insecurity, sadness, something that's much more complex and harder to communicate. And so it's like, I'm mad at you, but it's because I love you. And to try and untangle that and be like, I'm not, because then kids just feel ashamed and things like that, and it pulls them away from their parents. But this, like, and I mean, it's not perfect, and it's not gonna, you can't be perfect, but repairing that and stuff. It's so hard.
I know.
It's not easy.
But it does get better at some point. Like, it really does. Like, you just have to kind of be open to that possibility, you know? Yeah. Because sometimes you don't want it to get better. You know? I
hear that a lot of like, this is my thing. I don't want to get better. And I'm like, I don't know.
I know. And I think that is what happened for me. Like that moment where I was like, I want things to get better. Like, I actually don't want to be sick. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to forget more of my life. I think the cool thing too that happened, like, with treatment was, like, I realized that I could live the rest of my life if I wanted to. I think that was, like, another thing that happened where it was, like, another subconscious thought that I wasn't thinking about was, like, my own, like, mortality, I think, and just, like, knowing that what I was doing was dangerous, you know. And I think, like, if you can try to figure out why you want to be alive and, like, what you do love.
Well, and think about, like, the impact you've had since treatment in other people's lives, right? Like, you sing, you make music, you share your art, you make connections every day in your job. Like, it's literally what your job is built on. You're a part of our children's life in a way that, like, they're going to remember you. Like, you've made an impact on them. And if you had never gotten better, you wouldn't have been able to do that. And that's not for nothing, right? Like, all of that stuff matters. And it matters probably more than a lot of things that we think matter.
That's true.
So thank you. Thank you for sharing so openly.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
I don't know a creative way to
end it.
To end. It'll just have to be your music, I guess. And cue the outro.
Literally the outro.
Sometimes it won't be easy. Lay down, feel the ground beneath you. You will grow, just say something.
All of the music on this podcast has been custom created by Ellen, which I am so thankful for. I told her that the free stuff was crap and I needed her expertise. You can follow her on all social media outlets at Ellie Zelly, ELLIEZELIE. She posts a lot of good music on TikTok. I would give her a follow now. The next couple of years are going to be really big for her, so stay tuned.